Welcome to a new update in which I'll be discussing why I'm buying altcoins at this point and the fact that I think that altcoins will be doing relatively well when we compare them to the other assets which are Bitcoin and Ethereum. But before we're going to continue, do not forget to subscribe beneath, like this YouTube update, and also do not forget to check out my Twitter and Instagram, where you can find daily content when it comes to the cryptocurrency markets or about investing and trading in cryptos. So there are a few reasons why I'm actually buying altcoins at this point. First of all, I'm believing or expecting to see a super cycle in which Bitcoin will be relatively calm and consistent moving upwards. We've been seeing heavy corrections in the past year, but we've also been seeing that altcoins heavily outperform the performance of Bitcoin, with Ethereum as the primarily example, which have been doing really well and has been showing way more strength than Bitcoin has been doing. So the question becomes, are we actually in a Bitcoin bull cycle, or are we actually in an Ethereum bull cycle, or an entire ecosystem and layer 1 bull cycle, which means that not only Ethereum is showing more strength, but also layer 1s and other layer or the entire ecosystem is showing strength, in which we have been seeing that not only Ethereum was way stronger than Bitcoin, but also Avalanche, Luna, Phantom, Solana, all those projects, Matic, have been doing really well despite the corrective move of Bitcoin, which, as a matter of fact, makes the entire market more complex, makes the market fragmented into segments, and makes me more even happier about trading in crypto, because some assets will go up and some will not, which is very comparable when it comes to the actual stock market, in which some segments will do well when others are not doing well, so you can actually trade around the markets. So in that case, the goal is not to outperform Bitcoin anymore. I think the actual goal becomes to outperform Ethereum, in which you should also start to look at Ethereum pairs, given the fact that most of the traders or most of the DEXs are in ETH pairs. So it makes sense to start looking out for the performance of Ethereum and looking for a potential reward higher than what Ethereum is doing. And that's also what we are discussing in the Ethereum price prediction, which will be done relatively soon after this one. So historically, Q4 has been terrible for altcoins. We have been seeing terrible performance of them in terms of price action. We've also been seeing Bitcoin not doing too well, in which Bitcoin has been correcting from 69k to even close to 40k. And during the entire correction, altcoins have been dropping heavily in their Bitcoin and ETH pairs. And some altcoins even are down 80% from their all-time high in May 2021. Which comes to the fact that usually Q1 and Q2 are the best periods for altcoins to run in which historically those are the quarters where you can actually get a serious momentum and serious rewards for being into altcoins. So that's why the best period to actually buy your altcoins is Q4. Then next, I do not believe that the entire cycle is about Bitcoin alone. I think that we're having that lengthening cycle, we are having a longer cycle in which the entire ecosystem and platforms will be doing well. So comparing the price action right now to comparing it to the price action in 2017 doesn't really make sense, as the mechanics of the cryptocurrency markets are changing. But what we can see is that during 2020 to 2021, altcoins have been running with Bitcoin. So as long as that's going to be the case and Bitcoin starts grinding upwards, I think you can outperform Bitcoin heavily by being into altcoins, especially since that the valuation of the entire cryptocurrency markets is only around 2 trillion and the entire .com bubble was between 10 to 15. So that is enough for the introduction of why I'm buying altcoins at this point. Let's dive into the charts to see what they have been doing in the history and why I'm buying some of them. So when we're looking at the price action of the altcoins and especially those cycles, we can start looking at repeating patterns in terms of cycles which are usually 1 year or less, in which altcoins behave in a certain way. So what I mean by that is that especially if you look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, we can start seeing some patterns that are repeating over time. In the case of Ethereum, we've seen a heavy corrective move in the start of the actual listing, after which we've had a big run up, which was starting in January 2016, peaking out in March 2016. After that, a corrective period in which, especially since September 2016, Q4 was quite bad, in which we bottomed out in December of 2016, had another run. So if we look further, also Q4 was quite painful here as Bitcoin started to take the actual run. And since the Q4 was terrible, we bottomed out in December, made another run in Q1 of 2018, correction, another run, and from there onwards, we also started correcting until we bottomed out in December 2018, which we had another run, in which we also can see that Q4 was terrible once again, and we had a correction, breaking out in Q1 again, and the same can be said about 2020 into 2021. In December 2020, we've bottomed out and started running up once again, after which we can also see that Q4 was quite terrible. The only outlier right now is that Ethereum has adjusted its entire tokenomics, in which it became deflationary, and it also the usage of Ethereum in all the applications and dApps has increased significantly. So right now we are not seeing the exact same as what we're seeing in history, but out of the 6 years, we've also seen altcoins being bottomed out in December, which is quite comparable to the price action right now, through which we can use this as an assumption for what is about to come, in which we might arguably conclude that Ethereum is even going to accelerate even more and might even want to flip Bitcoin. But if we look at history, December is one of the best periods to actually buy altcoins when you're looking at them based on the price action against Bitcoin. We can do the exact same when it comes to Cardano. Cardano also bottomed out in November 2017, started to accelerate. 2018 also bottomed out, started to accelerate. 2020, exact same view, ending up with also a run in 2021, in which Q4, just like in the previous periods, Q4 was a quite terrible period for altcoins. So not only on Ethereum we can see this entire view, but also on Cardano we can see that the actual bottoming structure has been taking place during Q4, and the actual returns are made in Q1 and Q2. In that case, Cardano also lines up with the entire scenario that we have here, so that is something to arguably say as well. Looking at projects like AAVE, for instance, we can conclude that we also had those breakouts starting in 2021 in the first quarter, and Q4 was quite corrective, just like we are seeing right now with AAVE, which is currently retesting some levels of force support, in which the previous high has a test here, but also order blocks are taking some tests before we can start running. So Q4 has been destructive, which means that the entire interest into altcoins has decreased heavily. However, once you are seeing that the interest is dropping down heavily, the hype around cryptos is slowly fading away, that is actually the period where you want to start buying into those assets. And that's why I'm buying altcoins based on historical price action, based on the hype and sentiment. And that is the end of this update. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe beneath.